Okay, Mike, I got a couple of rapid fire
All
questions
right,
before we let you go here. We call this segment Phil's Five. I know you're a Chicago guy. Who was your favorite player growing up?
Joe Namath.
Oh, okay. Oh, I didn't know that. It threw
Yeah.
me for a loop there. Okay. Uh,
NBC played the game. The NFL games were at noon in Chicago. The AFL games were at 3 p.m. And everybody loved Joe Willie. The counterculture time, Vietnam, long hair, sideburns, Fu Manchu, white shoes. Joe Namath
he
was
was
the man.
cool. He was cool. Who's your favorite journalist of all time?
Uh, well, I don't know about journalists, but pure writer. And so that it was, I liked, boy, I'm hesitating only because there's a few. I love Rick Riley. I love Frank DeFord, all of
Hmm.
his pieces. Fimwright or Fimready, however you pronounce it. The Sports Illustrated guys. Steve Rushin. Um, uh, those were those were probably my W.C. Hines going back a
Mm-hmm.
ways. Bob Verdi, I grew up reading in the Chicago Tribune. Probably as a
Okay.
kid, Bob Verdi was my favorite.
Okay. Okay. I'm sure an inspiration to you to get into this field here. Who's your favorite player to cover that you've ever covered in your career?
Dante Bichette.
Ah,
Dante
okay.
Bichette, one of the Blake Street Bombers from the original. I covered baseball from 1988 through 2005, so 17. That includes AAA. Dante Bichette is he is a warm human being. He's one of the few that actually cares about you.
Hmm.
Um, he's one of the all time best.
Okay. Nice to see a son having success too now in
Yeah,
the
Bo
league.
Bichette.
Yeah.
He had another
Your
son,
most.
Dante Bichette, who was really good too. Just didn't quite
Oh,
make it to the majors.
oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Your most memorable interview.
Pete Rose, may he rest in
Oh,
peace.
yeah.
By far the most. He came out with the book "Prison Without Bars," where he admitted that he gambled on baseball after denying it for 20 years, however long it was. And we're upstairs in the tattered cover attic, I guess. And they had a pretty large room, and they had. I sat in one chair, and there were 12 folding chairs around in a circle. And Pete didn't want to do the interview. That's what I was told, but they kind of talked him into it. And he came out there and he had a scowl on his face. He was ticked off that he had to do the interview. An hour later, he finally stopped talking and he sat in every chair, all 12 chairs, during the interview. And it was an interview like no other. He was the best interview. And because of the, and he admitted he has ADHD, he couldn't sit still. So he was all
Uh,
over the place. And that was the most memorable interview by far.
I feel like you've had a few of those where the guy doesn't want to do it, but for some reason they talk to you, Mike. What's something, an event that you haven't had the chance to cover yet, but you want to still cover?
That is a great question. I haven't been to Notre Dame Stadium. I don't know if I want to cover it. I want to go there as a fan. Um, when you cover things, you got to write a gamer sidebar or notebook. That's no
Hmm.
fun. You got to transcribe tape. So, I mean, you get into it. It's a labor of love, but still, it's not like you're drinking a beer and hooping and hollering. But I grew up a Notre Dame college football fan, and Sunday mornings, Lindsey Nelson always had the highlights. Ara Parsegian, uh, Gatewood. Seymour, Hanratty, that those I just Notre Dame. I'm a Polish Catholic from the Chicago area. Rudy was, there's a lot of Rudies around there, not just Rudy. So uh, that's probably the one sporting event.
Hmm.
Um, Kentucky Derby. Um, Been there, kind of did that, kind of didn't. It's a long story. I better not go into it. Um,
Okay, next
but
time.
otherwise, I would say Notre Dame college football game.
Okay.
When it's really happening, and they pull off an upset, say they beat Michigan on a Saturday afternoon. That would be nirvana for me.